Welcome back to Let's Talk with Tiff. I'm Tiffanie, and I want to thank you guys for joining me for yet again another episode. I want to remind you to please like and subscribe my videos as I appreciate all of your support. So let's get into the topic today, guys. What is it, right? Today I want to talk about human evolution. However, I want to talk about it from a spiritual standpoint rather than scientifically speaking. When you think evolution, you probably think of it in terms of science because, well, that's kind of what we're taught. However, let's put the spiritual lens on. And I say that because one thing I've learned since doing this work with God in consciousness and walking in truth is everything is actually spiritual. And when you learn this principle, it will shift your life. It shifts your perspective. However, I don't really know that we can learn it unless we go directly to our Creator to begin with. So that's my experience, but I want to talk about evolution spiritually. So first of all, let me ask you guys, I don't know if you realize this, but as we come into the earth, we come through our mother. We are created by our parents. We come through our mother, and we are all given an assignment, all of us. Every single person is given a spiritual assignment, something that has been written up, thought up from beginning to end from God, our Creator. So my question to you is, are you paying attention to what your assignment is on this earth for the time that you come here and you exist, and every day you have a chance to step into it? Are you paying attention to your assignment? That's my question to you. Let's think about that. I know for myself, I spent many decades in research, what I call research. A lot of that, obviously, God is in full control and He will allow us to go down paths, to have experiences. And you will realize when you reflect back, once you get on this road of consciousness with God, that all roads lead to God anyways. Okay. And so we may take the detour, we may take the long way and do some research out in life, in this thing called life. And hopefully we wake up to what our assignment is. Usually pain leads you to your assignment. Usually grief leads you to your assignment. Usually trauma leads you to your assignment. Follow what I'm saying. So once you kind of maybe become curious about this idea that something's going on, right? If you know what I mean, you know. And you start to think to yourself, something's going on. Like, what's up, right? And you start questioning things, okay? You become curious. And when you start questioning things, you guys, that's a good thing. It's a good thing to become curious when you have this wake up call, to like your life. Rather than being the victim, rather than being poor me, rather than being, why does this always happen to me? Rather than being like in the emotion of your life, because it's so easy to get swallowed up, you take a step back, right? And you start to ask questions. What is really going on? What is this really about? And then you almost wonder, because most people, maybe you have God in your life, maybe you don't, maybe you believe, but that's about it. You just believe there is a God, but you don't have a relationship with God. Or maybe you're in the universe talk. I was there. Language matters to the mind, okay? It follows certain language. It will allow for certain things to come in, and maybe, okay, I can talk universe, I can talk higher power. For some, it's just God. Can't go any further than that. And for others, they find it in spirit, And this is a language that the mind will kind of step into, but it won't go further. And so you kind of open yourself up to this world, this language. And you get a little bit curious. Depending on your pain, I will say this, depending on your pain and your trauma and your grief, however far and however deep this goes inside of you, this is really where you start to wonder, is there a God? You kind of let go of the universe talk, because that only lasts and is sustainable for so long in the mind, because pain can outgrow this type of language when it becomes that heavy and that deep. And so you will start to wonder if there really is a God, right? And so you may even present these questions and say them out loud when you're alone, when you're crying, when you're lost, when you're suffering, okay? And so it's interesting because pain will lead you to this curiosity. It will lead you to these questions. And that's why I say it's a good thing, because the moment you get curious on whether or not there is a God, you're opening yourself up. You are opening yourself to not just this, right? Your spirit is opening. It's curious now. And so that's a good thing. So going back, are you paying attention to what your assignment is? And are you now, when you become curious, are you getting into agreement? Because one thing I know about God is if you have a curious heart and you are in pain and you fall into what we call desperation, and you'll do anything to have a shift to feel better, right? Most people will call out to God. We're not saying universe, we are saying God. We are calling out to God, our creator. Please help me. Please help me, whatever it is. And you know what I mean. If you've done this, you will call out to God. If there is a God, if you are real, please help me. And God will come. He will present himself. He will show and reveal himself to the one that calls out. This is where you start to ask questions, and maybe you feel like there's more for you in this life, right? And this cannot be all it is, the pain that I'm in. There has to be another way. And so now you kind of are faced with this idea of getting into agreement with God. This is really where you invite God into your life. I'm not talking about just believing in God. I'm not talking about going to church on Sunday. I'm not talking about however your faith is. I don't know, whatever you do, this is where you bring God into your everyday life and you include him, and he is in a relationship with you now. Okay. He's not the last one you go to. He's not somewhere in the middle. He is the one that you go to immediately, no matter what you're having in your life, good, bad, indifferent, it doesn't matter. God is the one. And so you begin to have a relationship with God, and that's where your curiosity will lead you to. And so you get into agreement with God. And getting into agreement with God is when you start to invite God into your life, and he starts to present to you this path that you're going to go down. And everything that you were questioning before about your life and something not feeling right starts to fall into place, because you're falling into the path that he designed for you. And so all that I'm talking about, this is all leading to living in truth. This is all leading to consciousness. However, I do want to say this. As somebody that walks in consciousness and walks in the truth with God every single day, there's no end to this. This is an ongoing process until he brings you home. I cannot sit here and teach you consciousness necessarily. I can share with you my experience, but consciousness is designed for the one that calls out and comes to God and is going to walk in the truth of their life. So he has a specific design for you. I can teach you my experience. I can share with you my experience, but will mine look like yours? No, it will not, because God knows your heart. He gave you your heart, and he's going to get into your heart and give you something so specific for you. It's special for you, that this is where your connection with God, it remains very unique. It is so divine. It is unique. It is only between you and him. So we will fall into agreement with God if you choose to step into that. And now I want to help you guys understand, this is what I've learned. When I was first doing this whole walk of consciousness and waking up to the truth, I had no idea what I was in for. This is hard work, okay? I used to say I'm like 5 years now into sobriety, and I used to believe that that was the hardest work I ever did. Oh gosh, no. Try living in consciousness and in the truth of everything all the time, where God's all up in your life, and the way that you hear and perceive, okay, you'll realize that everything is energy, okay? And we have energy that is with God, and then we have energy that can separate you from God, okay? And well, guess what runs through people? I've kind of touched on this in other episodes. Energy runs through people. And we know this because we say it. I hear people say it. I say it. I know what's coming at me. It's like either you're with God, you know God, God lives in you because we become a vessel for him to come through. The pendulum swings like to the right and to the left, okay? And so there's nothing really in the middle. Like you're either in with God, his light shines and comes through you. You are open vessel, okay? Or you are separated from God, okay? And this is separation energy. And we know this energy because this type of energy is going to run through the mind. The unconscious rules the life of the person that functions from this place, okay? That's how they operate. It is full-blown mind. Mind operation is what I call it. And so you will come to discover as you wake up into the truth with God that we're only here for this short amount of time, and the whole purpose of us coming to the earth is for evolution. We are here to evolve, okay? Our spirit is here to grow. We come in a body, okay, but we are spirits first. We come in a body, we have a mind because it is all a part of God's design. And we come here to grow, to evolve, to be developed. And here is the interesting part, is that this is specific for you. It is, yes, very much for you. However, it is also involving generations back, okay? And so I always say something like this. In families, we all have dysfunction. I don't care who you are. Every family comes from a place of dysfunction. And that is because, I'm going to tell you why. We are born with mind, okay? And the mind, as I've said in other episodes, it is spiritual. And because it is spiritual, we know that the unconscious is a frequency, it is an energy, and it has access to your mind, okay? And so you will realize that either you are a vessel for God with his light shining through, or you are in separation energy from God, where your entire world, your life is ran through the unconscious, okay? And there's no consciousness there. You are on autopilot. What you do, what you say, how you act, your behavior, personality, things like that. They are just that most of the time you will hear a lot of these people become defensive when you try to, I don't know, be in the truth with them. There goes the defense mechanisms. So defense mechanisms, which we are all familiar with, Freud developed those many years ago, and there's been additions since. And good, thank God Freud brought those to psychology, because it's true. The mind has defense mechanisms, and pay attention when people are the output of them, okay? And they're coming from the mind. And when they are in a defense mechanism, you know, oh, the unconscious has them right now. Okay. So you have to see it like this, this is how I see it. And then take it a step further if you can, because you will also learn that people are not the behavior. People are not what they say, okay? You have to separate the person from the behavior. Separate the person from what they speak, Okay, because the unconscious, if you have zero consciousness, you're on autopilot, you will say things and do things that you would never, ever. And then you fall into the regret. Oh, I shouldn't have said that, right? We've all done that. Or I shouldn't have done that. I took it too far, right? Some of us have that little bit of like after effect, you know, where we're like kind of in that regret. And then others, they double down. And they'll double down on their behavior and what they say because they have to justify it in order to feel okay with it. And so there it goes again, the unconscious in full effect. However, people, if you can learn to understand what I'm saying, people are not their behavior. Like there is the person, God is good. God's creation is good. He made man good. Okay. However, there is a force, a frequency, an energy, the unconscious that has access to your mind. Not good. Okay. It will give you solution that is not for you. Okay. God is for you and God is good. And so you have to be able to understand, okay, this person, it has them right now. And so if you can learn to see people through this lens, rather than seeing their behavior as the person, it changes everything for you. It will change everything. You almost want to just like, I want to pray for them. You know, I have compassion for this person because I was once them. I was once controlled by my mind. And so I know what that's like. And so you almost just want to like, and you pray for them because prayer is so powerful. And so anyways, circling it back to evolution, you know, you will realize that you are only here for a short amount of time. And this is God's classroom. Okay. Earth, this place we call Earth, that we all come to live in the body. But we are spirits first and we have mind. The earth is God's classroom. This is where we come to evolve. This is where we come to grow. This is where we come for development. Okay. And some people wake up for it. Some people accept God's assignment. Some people spend their entire life on another detour and another detour and another detour. And they go continuously the long way. And everything in them is screaming at them, their relationships, maybe the miserable feeling they have inside, their job, their like, you know, things start to become very uncomfortable. And it's like, now it becomes, are you living in the truth? Are you living in the truth? And so we all kind of maybe experience at one point, you know, once you start asking these questions and you become curious, it's like, you know, am I like doing what I'm supposed to be doing? You start questioning your entire life. You begin to go through this process of waking up, and you begin to observe things around you and just kind of question everything. Now, you have to remember though, you know, the problem, we are all looking for something, by the way, you guys. If you know this, you know that you are looking for something, and you may look to things, you may look to people, places, the materials of the world. They'll never fulfill you. You will always be looking still. There's like this hole in us, our heart. And there's only one that can fill it, and it is your creator. It is God. And so until you go with God, you will always be looking for something, okay? That is the unsettledness inside of the human condition. And so now we realize that we are in God's classroom and we are here to evolve. And it is not just about us. It is our development. Yes, it is our growth. However, this is generational. And so I always say that in families, somebody's got to go first. Somebody has to be willing to step out and step in before God. Okay. And somebody's got to go first. And you do it for yourself, yes, but you will realize as God takes you down this path that you're doing this for all the people that came before you in your family line, mother and father, that couldn't, that tried, but you know, they took the detours. All paths lead back to God, just so you know. So even if you're like on a detour path right now, just, it's okay. just know that you're in the research area right now. We go to more research if you're in the detours. Sometimes we have to go back and do more research because we got to be extra sure that we are going to call out to God, and that's what we want. And I've done that. I had to go get in more pain in order to be extra sure in my research that God was what I was looking for. Well, I can tell you that that's the truth. That is exactly what I was looking for. And, we all go through our own experiences with God as we get into agreement with him and we enter his classroom. And, when you're before all of this, before consciousness, before you start asking these questions and your life is kind of on autopilot and you function from a place of mind, you really just see everything around you and you go with life based on what you see because the mind loves tangibility and it looks and seems real to it, right? However, and that kind of is the case. Before consciousness, this world is what seems real. And then once you wake up and you walk in truth with God in all areas, okay, and you are willing to become uncomfortable, okay, and very separated, by the way. Watch your everything melt away. You start to realize that the only thing that is actually real is God. And everything that the world makes real and puts value on is done by man. Did you take that in right now? Okay. You'll realize that God is real and all that the world puts value on is done by man. The supernatural is happening all around us all of the time. And as you become conscious, I am not joking here, people, like you will realize that you can feel it. Okay. All things with God, by the way, like in the spiritual realms, it's not necessarily something you can see. God works in what you can't necessarily see. He is working by faith, okay? By faith and trust in him. And so, and such good examples are trust, our love, our surrender. What is it? What are we even saying? Like the closest thing, you can't necessarily say we can show somebody love, right? Like it's a thing. Right? We can't say that this is surrender. Here it is. Right? Ooh, sorry. We can't say that or do that. There's no doing that. Even in forgiveness. It's like, what are we showing people? We can't give them something, but it is an energy. It is real. And when it happens, we know, right? We know right here. That's what I've learned about God and his work. Is that God works in the realm of what you cannot see, but you believe by faith, okay, that it is happening because he is happening, okay? He is always happening. God is alive and well, and he is functioning right here on earth, okay? You just have to wake up for him. And, this isn't about religion. This is about waking up to the truth of him. Okay, and he has that for you. He has that for you. Evolution now is about growth. Evolution is about, being developed with God. Evolution as his people, when we come here to earth as his classroom. So you'll experience all these things in life, right? Yes, you will have pains. You will have traumas, inevitable. You will have trials, people. You will go through relationships. And here's the tricky one. It even happens in family. Okay. Family is one of the biggest targets for the unconscious to go after. It's so easy because there is love. Where there is love, the unconscious, it's coming for it. So just know that. Okay. You have to know that. It's just such an easy target for it. This is what we grow through. God uses our life, this earth, and all that's, all encompassing inside of it. You'll realize none of this is real and that we put value on it. And I am just here to evolve and grow and be developed and eventually hit a place of transformation through truth in consciousness with God. It depends how far you go with him. Like, he's in control of that. We cannot think our way into consciousness. We cannot feel our way into consciousness. We cannot do any of it. We are not in control. That's what you'll realize. And how far God takes you, well, consciousness, there is no endpoint with it, okay? How far you go with God is up to him. If you're looking for destination, okay, which humans love that. They love to know the end because the mind wants to know, when am I done, right? When did I make it? When am I done? When am I good to go? Where is the cure? Do you hear that one in the world? They want the cure. They want to be healed, like ED, done. And it's not that way, you guys. In truth, consciousness, there is no destination. You will learn that the destination is that you found your creator. You actually, that's the destination. And then your life is actually just beginning. Okay, that's what you will learn. It's a beautiful process if you open yourself up, get curious, ask questions. That's a very good thing. Transformation is where it's all headed, and how God does your transformation and your growth and development. It is special for you, between you and God. And, that's why I say you can't teach consciousness necessarily. You can share experience. However, it's going to be different for you. And that's what I share with a lot of people, even that I talk with or help. It is never the same, because God makes us all unique. And so somebody in the family line has to go first, has to be willing to be uncomfortable in order to bring this evolution into the family line. Okay, so somebody has to say no more. Somebody does. And so if you actually step into the truth, okay, and you actually step into what is consciousness, you're going back, people. I always say this, you're going back to the beginning with God. You're going to look at your life from the beginning, all things that happen, because you have to face the truth in all of it. So if there's forgiveness is where it's at. Oh yes. Forgiveness, all the resentments you carry, you must go back, you face the truth, you do the work, you make your amends, you get right with God. And this is just the short, simple version of what's happened with me. But it will look something like this. Everybody goes back to face the truth with whoever, because this is why. This is why you have to surrender, and you must go back to the beginning with God, because the unconscious, which has access to your mind, it works tirelessly to get in. Okay, even when you let God into your heart and you give your life to him, it doesn't leave you alone, okay? It doesn't go anywhere. You still are human in the body having a mind. And so it always is lurking and working to find a vulnerable time in your life where maybe your spiritual strength from within, where you are with God, falls short. It's in a place of, because we go through it. That's life. And God will use those times to actually test you. And that's good. We need to be tested, because we have to make sure, we have to show God and ourselves that we love God. That's the bottom line, you guys. If you don't know this, in the end, it comes down to love. Putting your life out and in God's hands and surrendering and waking up to the truth. Everything you do in the end comes down to love. You do it because you love him, period. And it's so beautiful, because the only thing that God ever wanted to do for his people was help them, because he loved them. And in the end, as you go through consciousness and walk in truth, that's the very thing, it comes full circle. That's what you want to give back to your creator. You do it because you want to help God, because you love him. It's so simple. And so you will choose to make different choices. You will choose to behave differently. You will choose to not have the last word. You will choose to not want to be right. And when somebody wants to communicate, you're more interested in the communication to do right by God because he is always watching, okay? That it's not about like pointing out what happened, or these are just examples, but like you have consciousness around your behavior and what you speak now. And so your first thought before you behave a certain way or you speak a certain way is God. Would God approve of this? Right? You're asking yourself because why? You love him. It goes back to love again. And so you choose to not participate in old ways because you love him. And this is what my experience of consciousness has been like. And so, be careful now. I want to touch on how humans, we are so good at adapting. We are so good at adapting, okay? We can adapt to our circumstance, which can be good, but it'll play both sides. Because when humans adapt, it can make us flexible beings, right? We can learn flexibility. However, there's a fine line there, big fine line. Because when you learn to adapt through circumstance, right, you can also learn to become comfortable. And where there is comfort, there's no God. God doesn't do comfortable people, okay? God does hard things. Hard things, he doesn't do stuff that's easy. He's gonna take you through very difficult, hard testing, trials, all the things that are going to wake you up to your true self, okay? True self in here. And one other quality that I've learned about God is that anytime God has his hands in things in your life, prepare for him to take his time. He does not do quick. The mind loves quick. It wants it now, right now, fast. That's not God. Sorry. Nope. God takes his time because why? God loves us and he's going to take the time to develop us. And without spiritual maturity, you will never have emotional maturity, ever. Just, you won't have it. And where do we get spiritual maturity from? Our Creator. Which is why you must go back. You must go back to the beginning with God to do the work. You must know that God takes his time. He's not quick. This all comes down to love, which is the most beautiful part of all this, you guys, is the reasons why God, he's patient with us. He's patient with us. And, he doesn't elevate us or, promote us to the next level until he knows that we're ready for it. And thank God, because we have a mind, you guys, and the unconscious has access to it. And this energy it's not for us, okay? It will give us solution to our life that will separate us from our Creator, and it will appear as us, as you and myself. And if you don't learn the energy of the unconscious, which, coming in later episodes, I'll teach on that one. Because a lot of people will be like, well, what do you mean? Like, and I can tell you briefly, that the way the unconscious, you will learn that it operates the same, okay? It doesn't have new tricks. It operates the same. So the person is irrelevant, no disrespect to the person, but how the unconscious, the energy, the frequency comes through the mind operates the same. Your experience in life and the trauma and the pain and the whatever you've had, well, that is individualized for you. That's your experience. But the solution it gives you is all the same. So you will notice traits and behaviors that will look identical in humans. Okay, that's because this energy, this frequency of the unconscious that comes right into the mind of a human operates the same. So what you can do is learn, how does this thing play out in me? You can learn the behavior of what it does to control you. Yes, you can. And we'll talk about that coming. And you can learn the way this thing speaks. So you can distinguish it from you. It is not the same thing. Okay, and we'll talk about that too. That's what I want to get into today. I thank you all for listening. evolution, human evolution with a spiritual lens, it's a big deal because this is why we're here. It is not just about you. It is about all the generations back. Somebody has to go first and be willing to be uncomfortable and put the self, this self of the mind, down. You got to put it down. And so you will only do that. You cannot do this as a conditioning treatment, okay? I hear a lot of people in this spiritual world, energy workers and things, they talk about you need to change the thought, right? You have to change the way you think in order to get this result. No, wrong approach. That's on the surface. Don't do that. You're still dealing with the mind, okay? This is spiritual. This is God's territory. If you want what I'm talking about, something that is sustainable, there is only one way to get it, and it is through your creator. Man cannot offer this. I don't care who you are, okay? This comes from God. Man cannot offer this to man. No, it doesn't work like that. And so, you know, if you're looking for something that will be a lifetime until you are called home, you're gonna have to go to God, and you're gonna have to start at the beginning. It's the hardest work you'll ever do. But it is the most beautiful. It is the most rewarding work you will ever do. So with that, I thank you all for listening and joining me for another episode. And please remember, guys, to like and subscribe to my videos. I appreciate your support. It means everything to me because we are building a community here. And everything I share comes from my heart. It is the truth. God, He speaks through me, and He gives me experience where I can share it and give it away. I want to encourage you to go to Him because He has one for you. It's waiting. He's waiting. And I thank you guys so much. I'll be back. So thank you.